Hey, well, good morning, Pete, North Las Vegas. We are back on the A2 project. It's been on hold for about 2 months, and I was waiting on a barrel from Criterion. So that's today's video. We're going to take a close look at this barrel, and I can't remember if this is my 6th or 7th Criterion barrel, but I've become quite a fan. Okay, so for those of you that know your A2s, you know that 223 Wild 1 and 8 should be 1 and 7 if it's going to be retro correct. This is also what's called a hybrid barrel, which is a medium contour. So that's another thing I deviated from, and I just decided to upgrade the barrel a little bit. Manganese phosphate, 20-inch, chrome lined. If you're not familiar with Criterion, they come with a dimple, so that helps you get things lined up on the gas port. Cosmetically, there's really barely a scratch on it. I mean, it's almost flawless. All right, well, let's get into the details. Okay, there's a look at the crown. I'm just showing you one side, but it's even and uniform all the way around. Looks really nice. As far as I can tell, the face of the barrel is machine square. Threads look good. A little bit of a relief cut there at the barrel shoulder for the muzzle device. Let's see how the class of fit on the threads is for an A2 compensator. Okay, so I've got this about 2 or 3 turns, just very nice fit. Let's go a couple more turns, less movement, and that's pretty good fitment, I think. Okay, let's see how the front sight base fits on the barrel. This is a standard A2. It's not an F marked because we're doing an A2 retro, so we don't want F marked. Okay, so it's a nice snug fit. I didn't have to, crank it on. It still slid over, but it's a nice snug fit. And this particular A2 front sight base came from Fulton Armory. Okay, so I'm just giving the barrel extension kind of a once over. What I'll do is I'll take like a straight edge and just very, very lightly kind of come around here and see if there's any burrs or imperfections, and very, very smooth, very well machined. And I do the same thing on the other side where the barrel nut mates up, so that all looks and feels pretty good. Normally I can detect about 1 thou or 2 thou, especially with my fingernail. I can definitely detect down to about 2 thousandths. Okay, just a quick visual on the barrel extension, the lugs, the machining. It's pretty much a work of art. I mean, it's really nice. Here later on in the video, we're going to bore scope this barrel, and we'll do some gauging on the chamber, head spacing, that kind of thing. But just visually right now, this barrel looks fantastic. Okay, so this is the HR that I got from Palmetto State Armory. So let's see how the barrel extension and the receiver made up. Okay, so I don't know how well the camera's going to pick this up, but just a very, very slight amount of movement. I mean, it's not quite as snug as I would like it to be, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Let's see how this fits on a JSE. Okay, so this is a JSE Surplus A2 upper receiver. They're about $110. And Double R Armory out of Texas is the people that actually machine this upper. And so far, this upper has been great. I had one little minor issue with the gas tube hole where I had to trim down just a very slight amount of anodize, but otherwise this receiver has been perfect. I did run into a problem with a Rock River Arms A2 rear sight, and that'll be for another video. But I just wanted to compare barrel fitment to this receiver versus the HR, and this is a better fit. There's almost no movement at all, and I kind of had to work this barrel into the extension. So for the JSE overall, this is a very good receiver, at least the one I have. Okay, so we're going to check something else here. These have the M4 cuts, so I want to make sure that my M4 cut extensions, and I'll get some more light in here, we'll do a better job showing this, but I want to make sure everything's lined up in there as far as the M4 cuts on the receiver versus the M4 cuts on the barrel extension. Okay, so this is the JSE receiver, and you can see the barrel extensions lined up pretty well perfect. If I take a nice sharp kind of straight edge, what I'm looking for is to make sure that the barrel M4 cuts, that as I come in off the receiver, I don't get hung up on those. If those are off and not quite right, let's see if I can get a better close-up. So right now I'm checking fitment between the M4 cuts on the extension and the receiver, and there's no hang-ups. Now I don't have a barrel nut on here, but it's on there about as far as it's going to go anyway. So for the JSE, the M4 cuts are perfect. Okay, so this is the H&R upper receiver, and same thing, barrel fitment on the receiver, no hang-ups. Everything is perfectly aligned. So that all looks good. Okay, so these are called extension gauges, and what they do is they check head spacing, but they also determine if your barrel extension in relation to the chamber is correctly machined. Now, these extension port here simulates your bolt. You don't really need these, but I like to check my extension relationship to the chamber. So let's see if these if this barrel passes the test. Okay, so this one was kind of a tight fit. Now you can see the lugs are fully engaged, but I'd rather have it be a little bit snug than loose. So this is a good tight fit. And I already know that it's not going to accept a no-go, but we'll put it in there anyway, just to double check and make sure. Yeah, so there's no way those lugs are going to engage. Now, the only time I worry about this no-go is if I have a really loose, sloppy fit with this, then I would want to stick the no-go in there and just see how bad it is. But as far as the extension gauges go, everything passes. Now, you still have to head space your bolt that you're actually going to use to this barrel. These just give you a reasonable indication that the barrel extension and chamber relationship are correct. Okay, so this is a Wilson Combat unmarked phosphate. I'm going to pop this apart, pull the extractor out, and then we'll actually head space this bolt to this barrel and make sure that this actual bolt that I'm planning on using is going to be correct for this barrel. Okay, so here's my go gauge. I got the extractor pulled out of my bolt. We'll do this part off camera because I don't have three hands. But anyway, I'll let you know how it goes. That should go into full battery and lock up. Let's find out. Okay, so we're in there on a go gauge. Everything lines up nice and snug. And let's put our no-go in there and see what happens. Okay, no-go. Bolt should not go into full battery. Should not even try to lock up. All right, I'm going to do this part off camera. Okay, so the no-go turned out perfect. Doesn't even try to lock up or go in. Now, sometimes if you really put a lot of pressure on a no-go, if it starts to engage a little bit, it might still be okay. But if you use a field gauge, which I have over here in the bag still, absolutely should not try to go into battery with a field gauge. So anyway, everything turned out good between the go and the no-go. So I think the last thing we need to do here is borescope this barrel and see what we think of the lands and the grooves. Okay, so one of the things I like to look at is the gas port to see how well finished it is, and that looks pretty good. I'm not going to show you all the lands and the grooves, but we'll back it out and we'll check out the muzzle end and see what we think. Okay, there's the crown. And the crown looks really good. We'll come in on the other side and we'll check the chamber, take a look at the lands. Okay, the lands are really good. Smooth transition, they're all even. Probably not showing up too good on the test long. I could load it onto my computer, but it's a pain in the butt. So anyway, hopefully I'm giving you a good enough look at the lands. They look really nice. Chamber looks good. Everything. Here's the back of the extensions. Everything looks good in there. I mean, really nice machining. All right, well, sorry about the crappy borescope work, but anyway, it all looks really good. One last check. Okay, so this is a bore straightness gauge that I got from Pacific Tool. And you can get two versions. You can get one that's guaranteed to 1/1000th of an inch, or you can pay the extra money and get one that's accurate to 1/10,000th of an inch. So I went with 1/10,000th of an inch. So we're going to slide this down the barrel and it should come out the other end nice and smooth. All right, here we go. And it looks like our bore is straight. That got stopped by the towel. Okay, so that's it for today. The Criterion barrel that I'll be using on the M16A2 build. Although I deviated from the government profile. The other JSE upper that I showed you, I'm probably going to go with a government profile on that one. If you follow the channel, I recently did an H-bar clone build of my old Colt. So I have an A2 set up with an H-bar. This will be medium contour, and then the JSE will end up being an actual A2 government. All right, well, I think we covered most of it. Pete, North Las Vegas, over and out. Okay, so bonus clip. I used trajectory arms out of Utah on my last build to get the FSB mounted, and they did a fantastic job. They got it perfectly straight. However, they are not doing machine or gunsmithing work anymore. I responded to them and asked if this was a permanent thing. They said they weren't sure. They were in the process of changing their business model. So I'm not quite sure what that means. So I'm going to be sending this to John Thomas, Retro Arms, and have him mount it this time. I couldn't find anything negative about Retro Arms, John Thomas. It looks like he does fantastic work. So that's who we'll get to mount this FSB this time. Okay, so Trajectory Arms found my video a while back, and here's one of their comments. And I went down here and I asked them, is this going to be a permanent thing or temporary? And they no more FSB installs. That's unfortunate. And then their response again was, all gunsmithing services are suspended. We don't know when or if they will return in the same capacity at this point. Changing business models. And that's all they really said about it. So like I said, it's kind of unfortunate because they did really good work. So anyway, off to John Thomas, Retro Arms.